Hey guys, so today we're talking about TATI Westbrook. I haven't talked about her in a while just because we're obviously sadly not in the bi-sister era of the internet. Oh, those times. I also do wonder if the lighting is a little bit crazy today just because we are doing like white on white on white on white. I just feel like the lighting is a lot. I'm not capable of changing that right now. I've also been hyping myself up for like an hour to sit down and film, and even now 30 seconds in I'm already loving it and enjoying it, and like I love to film. I love to yap. I literally, like, I want nothing else than to yap for a living. And yet, I have to hype myself up every single time to be like, okay, anytime now. Turn the camera on now. Anytime now. I guess the time is now. Sometimes I really have to do like a little countdown, like 3, 2, 1, and go. And then I kind of do it. So that's what I did today. I did a 3, 2, 1. But no, I love it. I don't know why I do this. Is this like an anxiety thing? I'm just like, oh, okay, finally doing it. TATI Westbrook finally talked about James Charles, Jeffree Star, the bi-sister scandal, and her life in general on a podcast with Michelle Phan. Now, what I shout. I did videos on my second channel that are to do with both of these women, okay, and they were separate videos. So I did a video on TATI Westbrook, from cancellation to joining a cult, what happened to TATI Westbrook, and this was a year ago on my second channel. If you guys want to watch that, it's interesting. I mean, she wasn't like part of a cult just yet. I just saw weird stuff, and the thing is, she does hide a lot of that behind like spirituality and finding God and stuff, which I have nothing against. You guys know that, it's not my business. But it goes from that to then like promoting MLMs and only eating meat and like weird like liver treats and snacks and like putting egg in your coffee, and like, you know, when you start going down the spiral of like, you start with self-betterment and spirituality and all things good, and then suddenly you're watching like Tim Paul or something. Like, you start thinking that everything's a hoax. You want to like escape the Matrix, you know, like stuff like that. And they do actually mention the Matrix in this podcast. Spoiler alert, Tati went on Michelle Phan's new podcast. Now, Michelle Phan, I also did a video on my second channel about Michelle Phan. Am I saying her name right? I keep on thinking it's like, it sounds weird when I say it. Okay. I think it was my first deep dive on my second channel, and that's kind of what started it all. Yeah, 2 years ago, how the biggest beauty guru ended up in a cult, Michelle Phan. And she talked about going to like a retreat where they would stop you from eating food and until you did like X amount of things, and they would meditate all day and be in like silence all day and isolation, like deep in some forest. And she saw a man who couldn't walk get healed and start walking, like typical cult behavior. So it is so interesting that Michelle Phan now has a podcast, and her like second official episode is about TATI Westbrook. Like with TATI Westbrook. TATI Westbrook tells all: sobriety, internet fame, and reinvention. So I just thought I'd live react to a bunch of the clips because I saved exactly the timestamps of when things were happening. So I'm just gonna start through. Now, the first bit of the podcast is about like Tati's childhood and adolescence and like early 20s and how like bad life was for her, and it's really sad at the beginning, but I'm gonna just skip through that to where she starts talking about meeting James Charles, bi-sister, how things happened. So let's just let them take it away.
Didn't want to hang out with you at the party, and it was like really just dumb, right? Like, who cares? But then as things grew and it got more cutthroat, it really was a lot of people coming into your life to see, who do you know that I can network with? What can I get out of this relationship? And that happened, absolutely. And something that I've never been able to really clear up because I've tried to let the past stay in the past, but hey, we're kind of digging up a bunch of stuff right now. So back in the day, you know, I did help James Charles quite a bit. And I think that there's been a big...
I was shocked that she was just going to name drop them. Like, when I heard the first James Charles bomb, I was like, oh, she's actually... Because she's been out of the drama for a while, and she's been, like, slowly letting information slide in and slip into videos. And so I was really shocked that she would just straight out the gate, like, this is what happened, this is who I helped out, this is what went wrong. And I'm kind of glad, because I do think there's been a bit of a James Charles, like, resurgence where people kind of either don't know his past or have seemed to forgotten his past and think he's like really funny right now, which I don't think he's funny. I think he's just annoying.
Misconception that I somehow pursued the relationship with him. He was 17. He didn't have an established channel. He was the one hitting up me in my DMs. We met the first time at Generation Beauty in New York. Oh my gosh, in the green room. He was like, oh my gosh, I love your channel. I'm like, let's hang out in LA. It was him pursuing me. So a lot of people have felt that I somehow was pursuing him for a benefit.
Now, that's the thing yeah, a lot of people have said that she like pursued him to get clout of him. She's like helped him start the channel, not the other way around. Like, yeah, he was already kind of making moves on Instagram and stuff, but she helped him get monetized and blah blah. However, I think to take this, not that I think anything inappropriate happened between them, but I think to take that and say he pursued me when you're like a grown woman and he's 17, like it's so easy to just say, oh yeah, we'll hang out, and then you just never hang out. Like, clearly there was something in that for you as well. And I just don't quite appreciate the lack of accountability of like a grown woman saying, oh, well, he wanted to be friends, so we just were friends. Like, what was I supposed to do? And if she wanted to have that relationship with him, that's fine. But I think a lot of people seem to think, like, I personally don't think it's a massive deal, but I think to a lot of people it's like, oh, maybe they shouldn't have been that close, then like none of this would have happened, and you don't blur those lines. And she seems to think now in hindsight that relationship shouldn't have happened. But she's also kind of taking her hands off the wheel and saying like, oh, I had no choice in this. Like, he was pursuing me. It was like he was 17 and he moved out of his house, moved to LA all on his own, like didn't have like parents kind of locally to him. And he was obviously looking for like a LA mum. And that was kind of up to you to either go with it or not. And so I think there's a bit of like, this isn't my fault.
That was a weird part of the story. During that time, like my channel was growing. There were a lot of people coming at me that wanted to suddenly be my friend. And that was really bizarre. I had been through cycles of drama, kind of kept to my own. If you're filming every day of the week, you don't have a lot of time for all these relationships, you know, it's true. So I'd work a lot. And then the other relationship that kind of came to me that wasn't what I pursued, just to clear things up, is Jeffree Star. So how I met him the first time was I had a lunch set up with Laura Lee, and we were going to Cheesecake Factory and just going to kind of hang out and get to know each other a little bit better. And literally like 15 minutes before the lunch, she calls me and is like, hey, just heads up, Jeffree's coming. And at the time, like he was killing it, right? Like he was amazing and growing. And also he was totally terrifying. And so I was just like, oh no, like, oh, like, I don't know. Like I'm kind of an idiot. And I'm kind of like this innocent, like boring, like my channel's boring. Like I'm kind of boring. Like this is going to be wild. Like, why does he want to meet me? Why does he want to go to lunch with me? Like, this is crazy. Because
you were getting a lot of views at the time. Like, I know she knows that, but like we all need to remember that she was like really popping at the time, and she just wasn't in the midst of all the drama. But like, obviously Jeffree Star wanted to hook his claws into her because the views she was getting were crazy, and like the reputation she also had was insane. Like his reputation was awful, like god awful, right? But he had like a bit of a cult following, but like his reputation wasn't great just with the general internet. And then her reputation was just the opposite. She was like the mother of makeup. Everyone believed her. If she said something was good, it was good. And even if you think it was bad, it was good. Like, I can see why he wanted that kind of person on his side. Because so far he had like Manny, Laura, and Nikita on his side, who had just as bad of reputations as him, really. So it's kind of, you know,
definitely an odd pairing, right? So we all went to lunch and it blew my mind. And this is something I'll say to his credit. We sat down and he had told me that he had heard through the rumor mill that someone had been spreading some pretty nasty rumors about me, and that he didn't judge people until he got to know them. And then Laura was like, yeah, I heard the same rumor, and Manny knows about this, and Patrick knows about this. And I'm like, well, I have like 5 girlfriends that have told me the same story. So this person is clearly spreading a lot of lies.
I, this whole time watching this podcast, was thinking, was that James Charles? Like, was it James Charles was spreading rumors about her, like bitching about her behind her back, essentially, to people, and it got back to her from all these different people? And Jeffree Star told her this, being like, oh yeah, I heard this rumor about you, but I'm gonna be the good guy and I'm not gonna judge you by it, and now we're like friends, essentially. And was that the start of him planting a seed in her head about James Charles, which then led to Bye Sister, which then led to Breaking My Silence, where she said it was actually Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson's fault that all of this happened because they poisoned the well, not me. Because she's not naming a name here, but I just wonder if it was James Charles. And then that was like the start of that madness.
And that was upsetting, but also like bonded us in that instant. I was like, oh my gosh, like the person that maybe I had judged that I thought was really scary in front of me was so cool, intelligent, charismatic. Like I immediately liked him a lot. And I was like, that's so awesome that you're not going to listen to a rumor and you want to get to know me. Like, okay, we're really different, but like, let's get to know each other. And that's how that friendship started.
Wow.
So I never pursued anyone that I ended up in big, yeah, you're doing 5 videos a week. You don't have time to pursue. No. So they kind of, pursued the friendship, and it was exciting, blew up in my face, but, and even I wouldn't call it a friendship with Shane, but he pursued me too. So it was like, I look back at my life and I'm like, wow, like I was my own little island. And like, how did this?
I do wonder why everyone at the time pursued her. Like, I don't think any of us actually focused on that because we didn't think it was the case that they kind of manipulated her until she came out of all this stuff, and then they just kind of left her to it. But now that we know that in hindsight, like we can all see that happened essentially, right? Like, why did they all pursue Tati of all people. And I know that she had a lot of views, and I just said she had a lot of views and she had a really good reputation, but like all of them just tunnel vision on TATI WESTBROOK, you know, at the time. And I just wonder if it was like she just seemed, it's gonna sound mean, I don't even mean, like, did she seem weak, like compared to the people that were like LA veterans? They kind of knew what's up, and she was just a bit naive and nice and kind to everyone, and they knew that it was an easy, like she was like an easy victim or something. I don't know.
But it happened. Yeah. I mean, since we're on that topic, I remember that just broke the internet, that whole era.
It did.
Okay, first off, I have to give you so much props. You are so brave for just speaking truth like that, because there's been so many times I wanted to do a My Truth video and I'm like, not ready. I don't want to do this because I know the repercussions. Like I know like the attacks and everything. And so I'm so curious as to like how are you feeling on the lead up to that? Like, it's not like something that just, I woke up and I'm just going to do this. Like something, it was probably boiling for a long time, right? You're talking about Bye Sister, or just leading up to all of that?
Leading up to all
that. Okay. Because I know it's not an overnight thing doing something.
I need more therapy for this, you know?
It's still like, it's been 5 years, about 5 years.
I feel old. I can't believe it was 5, because I remember exactly where I was, what I was doing when Bye Sister dropped. Because I remember a friend was messaging me and was like, no, you have to watch this video, like what is going on? And I was like, well, I just clocked out for today. I wanted to have a chill evening. And then I'm watching it and I'm like, you know, and then it was like, and you did it at my birthday dinner. And I think we all just, I think the whole world actually stopped. Like that was the first time that I can remember the whole world stopping. I think like there are a few historical moments, you know, throughout time where like everything stops and everyone's just focused on the same thing. And weirdly, I think Bye Sister it's up there. Like it should be in history books at school. We should be teaching this and just saying like, this is what happens when you make bad friends, you know? And it was actually crazy. I remember exactly where I was when it came out, but I can't believe that was 5 years ago.
Since the infamous birthday party dinner, which I haven't celebrated a birthday in 5 years. That's something that, are you serious? It's like on the shelf. Yeah. Like that was the last birthday party I had, and it was horrific. And changed my life, you know, and I have to accept, here's the thing. I can't go in a time machine and like, oh, I wish that dinner had never happened. You know, like I can't undo what happened. But that was the catalyst for everything moving forward. We all know what Bye Sister was about. Mm-hmm. Did I think it would blow into what it was? Did I have the capacity to have 50 million views on a video? No. Me? No. Like a couple million, and we've broken up and we're done, and I don't associate with him anymore and we're done. Like that's really where I was at. I felt like I had to make that video, but I had a lot of noise in my ear, and a lot of powerful people bringing information to me, and it happened. I was really distraught over the information. It was very triggering to me. You know, I've had to overcome some pretty significant trauma in my life, and it triggered every part of me, the information that I was hearing. And a lot of people.
And obviously the information we're hearing is like stuff that even some drama channels got. Once again, like I didn't get any of this information at the time, but it was apparently like voice notes and actual like proof of something happening. So we obviously all get why she came out with the video, but I think it all got a bit muddled up at the time with a lot of people speaking out when they had no like clue what's happening. Like it was massive channels. I remember like PewDiePie and stuff would be slating Tati, and I was like, is no one focusing on the fact that there is like actual proof that James Charles is doing stuff that is illegal? And like what was she really supposed to do? But I guess it was this whole like, she's selling these vitamins and she's angry because he's selling other vitamins. And I think like maybe if she had left that out of the Bye Sister video, like the Coachella, what was the like gummy hair bear, whatever it was called, right? Maybe if she left that out of the story, she would have had more credibility. But I think it just looked a bit money hungry, like she was only doing this because he took that sponsorship. Whereas if she had left all of that out and just focused on him being like a creep allegedly behind the scenes, it would have had more credibility. I don't know.
I want to say like, well, why didn't you go to the police? Why didn't you like, if things are of that nature and they're not affecting you directly, you can't. I felt like I needed to cut ties publicly. I didn't like how he was behaving. I was very clear about that. Looking back, were a lot of things fed to me that I don't know were true. Yeah. You know, if you hear that YouTube executives are going to be deplatforming someone, and you should definitely make sure that you keep your distance because this is happening and it could take you down too. Like, yeah, you're going to like lose a little sleep over that, you know. Gosh. So there was a lot of energy at play, and I can't explain it further than I felt like I had to make that video. Yeah, I had to. And the weirdest thing happened right before.
Then she goes on to basically talk about how she had this like weird spiritual thing happen where she thought like, I shouldn't really film this video, and then she did, and obviously that was like the death of her. But yeah, so we can kind of just move on from that.
In my life. Yeah, what was the aftermath of that entire... I laid in bed. I love that for you. I could not believe that this happened. Like, I know people will say, like, you chose to sat down, you did this, like, you had a choice, and I did, and I made that choice. But it did seem like you were, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but it just based on what you're telling me, it seemed like there was some sort of manipulation into you creating it. It felt like that. Yeah. And, it still does. None of it makes any sense because it's not you. Like, I've been watching your videos for so long. Like, you're not the type to get into drama. Like, you're very family friendly, wholesome, like real. And no, I'm just keeping it real too. Like, real recognizes real. And when that came out, I'm like, I remember thinking, this is not Tati. Like, did something happen? Like, man, why would she?
Real recognizes real, and like it just makes me laugh because they both basically ended up in a bit of a cult. So I'm like, yeah, real really does recognize real. They'll be at like a retreat together soon. I can feel it in my bones.
It just seemed really out of character. The information that I had felt really upsetting. And, James Charles referred to me publicly as mom, like, hey, mom, like, and like, we're besties. And like, I felt tied to him in this industry. And I wanted to untie that. And
I get that. Like, I get the wanting to untie. I do think people only really had an issue with the fact that she like brought the vitamins into it. And the vitamins end up like biting her in the ass anyway. So it's a bit, it's a bit sad.
These allegations are true. Like, what I regretted was that it blew up into this big circus, that I took things publicly that I should have taken privately, that I should have investigated more thoroughly instead of trusting people that were close to me. I had regrets over all of those things, but I never said, hey, and it was all a lie, and none of it happened. Like, I never did that. And that was the story that then took off, which was just...
Well. Like, when she's saying I never took it back that James Charles is a creep, she did say that she reached out to him, said sorry to him, and that, like, he wanted to sit down and film this video with her, but she said, like, no, I can do it on my own. That, to me, sounds very friendly for an alleged criminal. And if you still believe and believed at the time that he was an alleged criminal and the only thing you had an issue with was just how far it got taken publicly, saying like, oh, he wanted to sit down with me. Like, I think you could have skipped all of that because it did make it sound like you guys were super friendly at that point, and you just went from hating James Charles to now hating Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson, and whoever wanted to be on your team at the time, that's who you accepted onto your team, right? Like, that's just kind of what it sounds like.
Oh my God. Yeah. You can't control. It's like wildfire. You really can't control stuff like that afterwards. You can only speak your truth from that point. And that's what you were trying to do when you're making these other videos to clear it up. I was trying to clear it up. Yeah. But then it didn't get cleared up. Yeah, it just brought on more. So it kind of gets...
Also, she's not actually naming who was in her ear. And we all obviously know that was Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson because of the Breaking My Silence video. But because she's not saying it, I'm just wondering, like, are there some legal... Because I know we did say that there were going to be legal problems after the Breaking My Silence video. And then she ended up taking that one down, right? Now I'm getting all my videos confused, but I think she ended up taking all the videos down. Is there legal trouble now? Like, if she mentions the fact that it was Jeffree Star that sent her these, like, clips or the evidence, quote unquote, like, wherever it is there, like, a legal issue? Because she's naming names, and then all of a sudden she gets, like, deeper into the story, and suddenly she's not naming any names, and I'm just thinking, like, is there actually that legal stuff that was happening behind the scenes?
To a point where it's like, well, should you ever speak your truth? And that gets really tricky because now I'm in a place where I want to speak as much truth as I can, but let go of the outcome and let go of what people say. And if people are like, wow, you are crazy, I'm like, well, good thing you're not living with me. Like, if you to really take things a day at a time. Yeah, I just focus on the day.
Okay, so then, if you guys don't know, after all of this stuff, well, before the drama, she came out with Halo Beauty, which is obviously what kind of started it all, the drama, really. I can't believe it all started from, like, those vitamins. She released the vitamins, and then from there, it was just a downhill slope. And then she obviously released Tati Beauty. Now Tati Beauty is shut down, and then Halo Beauty recently, she announced that because of the lawsuit, because I know she got sued by her ex-partner, business partner, and he actually is now fully in charge of Halo Beauty, and she doesn't have any stake in Halo. Like, she's completely given up control over Halo Beauty, and then she's probably hoping to bring back some kind of version of Tati Beauty. And this was announced recently in a video that, like, they've settled out of court. He gets to keep Halo Beauty, she gets to keep her name and be able to do all the other ventures that she wanted to do. But in this video, I guess the podcast was filmed before then, because she says that she's got more, like, court proceedings to go to. So she goes on to talk about the Halo Beauty lawsuit here. But like I said, she kind of has resolved that now, because I guess of, like, when this was filmed. Now, she does talk about how the guy was actually feeding info to drama channels, which we knew at the time because it was kind of slowly coming out. But once again, I didn't get any of this information. Like, am I just not important enough? Is that what it is? Because I didn't, not that I would want to hear some of this stuff, but, like, I just was never in the loop-de-loop. And there were, like, drama channels smaller than me at the time getting a bunch of this stuff, and I just was clearly in my own bubble because I was not being fed any information about Tati Westbrook. I can tell you that much for free.
And, like, I feel this intense gratitude, but it was also horrifying. Like, 50% amazing, 50% horrifying, deep betrayal from a friend. And I had this feeling that he was feeding information to drama channels, and I had to go through separate litigation to really uncover where a particular leak was happening, where information about the company and about myself was getting in the hands of people where it didn't make sense. I'm like, where is this leak coming from?
This just unlocked a memory in my head of, what's her name, Without a Crystal Ball. That woman was obsessed with me for a bit. Okay, that's one time where I was not in my bubble. She was obsessed with me and obsessed with TATI WESTBROOK. But well, didn't it come out that he was feeding information to her, and then she would accuse Tati's husband of like killing his mum for money? Do you guys remember that? Like, I don't know, I think we stepped it under the rug a little bit too quickly. The fact that she still makes content is baffling to me, and she's actually doing quite well. I might not even poke that bear because I feel like she'll just become obsessed with me again.
This feels like a real rich public humiliation. Like, I have to find out what's going on before I can even think of going back to YouTube. So that was really the cause of my time off. Did you have it?
So she had to actually take time off, like making content altogether. She had to stop making money from her name, essentially, because they still weren't sure who gets to keep that money and how much of that money is going to her and how much is going to him. So now it kind of does make sense why she would say, okay, fine, keep Halo Beauty, and then I get to just do my own thing now. But I just don't understand why he would want to keep Halo Beauty, because without TATI WESTBROOK, let's be real now, Halo Beauty is just an overpriced supplement company. Like, there is nothing to it. And when I looked them up, Halo Beauty was on sale. Like, when that video came out that she was like, okay, I'm not doing Halo Beauty anymore, I clicked on Halo Beauty just for fun, and I saw that some of it was on sale. Now, I don't know if I imagined that or I dreamed it, because now everything's full price again, but a lot of things are sold out, and I'm just wondering if he's gonna, I don't know if this makes sense, but like, is he gonna actually restock stuff, or has he now realized, like, without TATI WESTBROOK, this is just a supplement company, and an overpriced one at that. Like, you can get some of this stuff for way cheaper. So yeah, things are now like full price again, but like things are sold out. I guess the like refill packets are sold out, but then stuff still. Yeah, I mean, I heard great things about this, but yeah, it is at the end of the day just a supplement company. So without TATI WESTBROOK's name added to it, it just, you could pick this up anywhere, you know, like Target. Probably. Then they talk about spirituality, how her and James almost got divorced, and wanting motherhood, obviously. Towards the end of the episode, they get very cultish together, and by cultish I just mean spiritual, but like spiritual, like weird, where they start saying things like the Matrix and stuff. And I do agree with some of it. Like, I agree that everyone finds spirituality in their own ways, and you believe in your own stuff, and everything's rooted in love, and blah blah. But it's when they start throwing words out like Matrix and stuff, I think I just get slight like PTSD, because Andrew Tate's been roaming the streets for a while, and it just brings me back to the videos that I did on both of them, like coincidentally on both of them separately, that they are behaving in a cultish way. But it's stuff like, I guess this timestamp, where I'm like, oh god, please don't go on a retreat together, guys, stay safe, don't make unnecessary journeys.
Journey is so personal. We're not all, it's not a one size fits all. I mean, I clearly see it with so many different religions, but I think the destination is the same place. We all go back to source, which is love. It's just pure love, this energy, this intelligent, beautiful, creative energy that is within all of us. And sadly, I think the world that we live in today, it blocks access. It blocks our access to this love. You know, it creates, you know, the society tells women to compete against each other, and like the world that we live, this matrix world that we live in. But I feel like these are all tests, you know, like if it was so easy, then everyone would become enlightened. But there's a reason why we're here. Yeah. There's a reason why we're being tested like this. And I think having your platform and sharing this is so powerful, because I believe a lot of people who watch us and our viewers, they are going through the same exact thing, which is a different version of it. There's these themes exist in so many of our stories. Yeah, whatever we do for a job. And, you know, I've had to overcome them publicly. So have you. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, this is amazing. This is going to inspire so many people, because
anyway, you guys know what I mean. I think I'm just like not spiritual enough at all. Like, I'm not spiritual at all. It's not even enough. It's just not whatsoever. And so I think whenever it comes up, I just go, oh, I don't quite understand this. But yeah, good for them, I guess, for bonding over this. I do hope that they don't do any culty stuff anymore, and that they are just happy and peaceful together. But yeah, I'm kind of shocked that she has now come out and done this like tell all, because Jack and Hill recently did one as well. Jack and Hill podcast. Taylor, there we go. It's on Taylor Lautner's podcast. It's called The Squeeze. It's 3 weeks ago. Jack and Hill and Jordan Torrey, Addiction, Sobriety and Lipsticks Part 1 and then Part 2. And in there, and this one as well, Cheers with Avery. She doesn't push back on any of her BS at all, and neither really do they, but she basically rewrites the whole lipstick saga, the history, to make herself seem like the victim again, which good for us all, but I don't have the time or the energy really to rehash the same story and say it's your fault. Like, how many times can I say that, really? We all know that. So it's to me that she was able to spread this lie to like 600,000 people. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the bell icon for engagement. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.